managerial communication and listening. In the recent years, there's been a field within the managerial communication in management sciences focusing on listening. Why is this topic very important? This topic is very important because we as managers are supposed to listen to fellow managers. What is it that they are communicating to us? But at the same time, we are expected to listen to the members of our team. So if you are a manager, or you will be a manager in the near future, you are supposed to develop the skills for listening. It's very important, because where listening is lacking, where listening is not taking place, it becomes difficult. There's confusion at a workplace. And therefore, you are expected to develop the listening skills so that you are able to listen to your customers, your workmates, your line managers, and even to those who are above your rank. So listening is very important, and therefore we'll begin with the definition of listening. And Novita is going to help us to change the slides as we present. So in the first place, listening means to make an effort to hear something or be alert and ready to hear something. This is according to Oxford Languages Dictionary. But in addition to that, there's been many other people who have tried to define listening. What is listening? In the first place, we saw that listening, according to the Oxford Language Dictionary, you have to make an effort. Because if you don't, then your mind slips off. So it is the active process of receiving and responding to spoken or something which is not spoken message. So listening is not just hearing what other people are saying.
Yeah, sorry for disturbing. Yeah, for the share screen, is it correct? It's still pick of number 2.
Yes, I'm on slide number 3 now.
Oh, 3. Yeah, please say next. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Novita. I'm on slide number 3. So we are saying that listening is the active process of receiving and responding to spoken or unspoken messages. So it's not just a passive hearing what the other party or what the other people are saying, but you see, according to the poet Alice Miller, listening means taking a vigorous human interest in what is being taught to you. So you have to be vigorous, you have to pay attention, you have to put your energy, and that's what we call listening. You can listen like a blank wall or like a scholar and preacher. This is what Richard also say. In other words, he's saying that you can pretend as if you are listening, but all that is being said is just bouncing on you like a blank wall. So listening is a learned process of receiving and interpreting and recording, evaluating, and responding to the verbal and non-verbal messages. Now, let's go to slide number 4 now. which is talking about the anatomy of poor listening. We have to begin from there. What is it that the who uh, contributes to poor listening? Uh, what are the causes of poor listening? The barriers that impede is, first of all, the poor listeners are easily distracted and may even create disturbances that interfere with their own listening efficiency and that of others. They squirm, they talk with their neighbors, they shuffle with papers. These are the signs of poor listening. They make little or no effort to conceal their boredom. These are the barriers that when when somebody is talking, you scream, or you are talking to your neighbors, or you are shuffling the papers, and you are making little effort or no effort at all to conceal to your boredom. So that's what brings barriers that impede listening. So usually the people who are poor listeners, they interrupt the speaker. When the speaker is speaking, they would say, that reminds me of, or they say something like, no, that's nothing. Let me tell you about, in an attempt to dominate the conversation. So that is sometimes seen as to be rude and offensive. So continually finishing the speaker's sentences should be avoided. Although once in a while that has proved to be considered to be good. But normal cases, when somebody is speaking, you are not supposed to continue their sentence and to complete it, finish it. That is part of what is considered to poor listening. So let's go to slide number 6. What are the categories? Because listening has different categories. In other words, there are different groups of people who are listeners. This is according to Cordially, and he gives us 4 different categories of who are listening. The first group is what is known as they know it already. So they pay little attention because they think that they know it already. And then the next one is the one upper, and then the next one is the gossiper, the ghost, and then the black hole. So what all these terms and categories mean? Let's start with the know it all. This is on slide number 7. So when you're speaking, when you're making a presentation, the group that is know it already, what they do is that as you get half through your sentence, they already think that they know it already. So they already know what you think you're going to say. They are now preparing their response instead of listening the rest of the words. Okay, slide number 8. That's the next category, the one upper. The one upper, whatever you have done, they think they have done it twice much better than you. When you share your story, for example, when you say, I went on a safari last year and saw 2 elephants, they will tell you that they went on safari 2 years ago and saw 4 elephants, 10 lions, and millions of other animals. So they want to bring up something which they think they did much more better than you. So they put themselves on the upper level than your level. So instead of listening with an innocent mind and ear, they always want to be on the upper side, on top. These are the one upper. And then slide number 7, number 9, talks about the gospel. So you know gossip is common. I don't know in your culture, but in my culture, there is the always people gossiping. So whatever you share, they will share something negative or compared with other people who are not present that meeting in the room. So gossip is part of the poor listening traits. You are not supposed to gossip. Gossip is when you are talking about someone when the owner of the story is not around, but you are talking about it in a negative way. That's a gospel. So finally, slide number 10 is talking about the black hole. The black hole guy or group, these are the people that they are sort of frustrated. So they have given up on an issue and they think life is shit. Life is no longer interesting. Life is no longer valid. So probably these are the people who sometimes if they are not properly controlled, they may be considering to commit suicide because they no longer see value in life or they no longer see anything interesting. They they have gone blank and they are referred to as the black hole. So they are not listening. They are not interested. So slide number 7 talks about what are the causes of poor listening. What causes this kind of poor listening? First of all, this is low concentration. When a listener is not paying attention to a speaker's dialogue, effective communication is significantly diminished. So low concentration is not good. Or not paying close attention to speakers can result from various psychological or physical situations, including visual or auditory distractions, physical discomforts, inadequate volume, lack of interest in the subject material, stress, or personal bias. These are some of the factors that contribute to low concentration. When you, for example, when you have the pain in your body, you concentrate on the pain rather than concentrating on the speaker. So sometimes you may be watching your TikTok pictures on your phone instead of listening to someone who is speaking, sending a message across to you. But you also may be having a physical discomfort. Maybe the chair that you are sitting in is not comfortable. So you may be feeling some pain, the chair that you are sitting on. That would also distract your concentration. And sometimes the volume, when it is too much volume on the radio or television, or you don't have interest at all in subject material or stress. So all these might contribute to low concentration. That's what we are saying in slide number 11. Low concentration might be the cause of poor listening. But not only that, on slide number 12, we are talking about lack of prioritization. You see, prioritizing listening is very important. So just as lack of attention to detail, the conversation can lead to ineffective listening. So can focusing too much attention on the least important information. Listeners need to be able to pick up on social cues and prioritize the information they hear to identify the most important points within the context of the conversation. See, sometimes we talk about measuring on minors. So instead of measuring on the major elements of the presentation, sometimes there is a temptation of measuring in the minors. Not good. That's why we are saying that listeners need to be able to pick up on the social cues, prioritize information. The social cues could include what are the real issues that matter. What are the major areas in this speech, in this presentation, this message, in this communication? What are the major key points that I need to follow to and pick up? So that's what we call prioritization. So you cannot pick all the 100 things that have been spoken, but at least you look for the key information that will be considered as a major part of the message that you're supposed to listen to. Right. That's about lack of prioritization. So if you don't prioritize, you end up not listening properly to what has been said. On slide number 13, we still continue with the causes of poor listening. And this one is jumping to judgment. You see, when listening to a speaker's message, it is common to overlook aspects of the conversation or to make judgments before all the information is presented. That's the wrong part of the story. Don't make judgment before the speaker finishes their presentation. What happens in most cases, you already judge the speaker before they even finish speaking. You already get to the conclusion of their message before you listen properly. Listeners often engage in confirmation bias, which is the tendency of isolate aspects of conversation or one's own existing beliefs and values. So listen up to the end, and then you can make better conclusions about what the speaker is trying to communicate. Slide number 14 talks about focusing on style, no substance. So that's also another cause of poor listening. When you focus on style, not substance. So when the speaker is speaking, sometimes their language may not be as attractive or as professionally organized. Maybe there might be issues of grammatical challenges, or even their accent might not be as clear as because this person is not coming from your mother language or your mother tongue, so you might be struggling to appreciate their language and their accent. So sometimes you focus on those issues that have to do with the style of their communication, instead of focusing on the substance, the real content of their communication. So the vividness effect explains how vivid or highly graphic and dramatic events affect an individual's perception of a situation. When observing an event in a person, an observer is automatically drawn towards the sensational, vivid, memorable aspects of the conversation or speech. Sometimes it's their charisma, or sometimes their personality, or sometimes it's their speed of the speech which they are presenting. So those should not be our focus indeed, but the substance of their discussion. That's what matters most. Much as we appreciate the style, but much more we need to appreciate the substance of the message. Right. Now, slide number 13 now. These are additional facts as to what causes poor listening. And now these are coming from Jessica Peter. And Jessica only gives 5 reasons for poor listening skills. And she talks about too many distractions. So these distractions could be physical distractions, mental, auditory, visual. I think we had already talked about it earlier on when we talked about the causes of listening. So Jessica is in agreement with others. When there are too many distractions, these can be part of the reason why poor listening. Slide number 16 talks about pseudo listening, half listening. Pseudo listening is a type of non-listening in which you appear attentive in conversation while actually ignoring or only partially listening to the other person. So have you seen people in church sometimes or in a meeting? They pretend as if they are listening, but in fact, in the real sense, they are not listening. This is what is referred as pseudo listening. This can happen in the office environment or church or in the family, and you may find that you do this conversation without even thinking about it, which hurts you and the person you're supposed to listen to. And so you miss on an opportunity. And to make matters worse, sometimes your company, your organization, your employer might have sent you maybe somewhere else to represent their organization, their company, and they pay a huge lots of money for you to attend a workshop, a seminar, or a training. But can you imagine you go there and you are not listening at all? You are simply wasting the resources of your company. So that's the second one. Remember the first one we said, you are actually focusing on the style. Of course, we say lack of prioritization is lack of concentration, rather, then lack of prioritization, then jumping to judgment. Then we are saying the pseudo listening, according to Jessica. But Jessica continues to say, this is now on slide number 17. Jessica continues to say, rejecting or rehearsing your response. So sometimes when somebody is speaking, you, instead of listening, you are busy making yourself constantly jumping into the conversation. And that's what we call interjecting. But sometimes you're even rehearsing on your response. In other words, if you know you shouldn't interrupt, you end up thinking about what you're going to say. Don't forget your thoughts. So the good norm is that you have to listen up to the end of the conversation. So that's finally on slide number 18. We are saying that according to Jessica, one of the causes of poor listening is giving advice. So when you're listening to somebody, this is not the time for you to be giving them advice. No, you are supposed to wait and listen and allow the other person to finish speaking. Maybe after that, that's when you can bring in your advice. But don't bring your advice because this person did not ask for it. They did not ask for your advice. This person simply wanted to speak to you and to send a message across to you. So sometimes we miss out on the opportunity to listen because instead of spending much time to listen, we spend our energy on giving advice. All right. We now go to slide number 19. Slide number 19 uh, gives us the features of a good listener. So we cannot finish our discussion on the poor listeners. We also need to know the features of a good listener. So according to Arthur Melvin Gottlieb, there are four elements of a good listener. The first one is attention. So the focused perception of both visual and verbal stimuli. So whenever somebody is speaking, you need to pay attention. So when you are busy with your phone, scrolling down on WhatsApp, or Facebook, or TikTok, or all those social media issues, internet and the like, when somebody is speaking to you, then you are missing out because you're not paying attention. That's why author Melvin says one feature of a good listener is paying attention to what is being said, both visual or verbal. And then number two is to hear, hearing, the psychological act of opening the gates to your ears. You have to position yourself where you can hear clearly and properly. And then thirdly, understand. No, as understanding means you are assigning meaning to the messages that you have received. In other words, you want to make sure that you have understood what you heard, what is being said. You pay attention, you hear what is being said, then you make sure you understand the meaning of what is being said. These are good features of a good listener. And then finally, remembering the scoring of meaningful information. This is according to Fraser. Remembering what has been said, because in the long run, you are going to be asked. If you're a student, these are some of the things that you are going to be asked during your examination. Or if you're not a student, you may have been sent to attend a meeting by your company. You need to remember the things that you were told so that you bring back the feedback and the message to the rest of the people in your organization. If you are a Christian, you want to bring the message that you heard from church to the members of your family and the other members of your community. So these are the good features of a good listener. Elements, levels of good listening. Pay attention, position yourself in a manner that you'll be able to hear what is being said. Make sure you understand what has been said and remember the things that have been presented. You see, when you do a good job on listening, even as a student, you stand a better chance of passing examination because this will help you to recall, remember. This will, when you pay attention to what the teacher or the lecturer has been saying, you increase your chances of understanding or hearing and remembering what has been said. Okay, I now go to slide number 20. This is just a graphic representation of a good listener. They are listening for clarity, they are listening, They are not judging anyone, or they are paying attention. Okay, they're paying attention. They withhold judgment, and they summarize the points that have been spoken, and then they are willing to share with other people, and they reflect on what they heard. See, a very complete graphic representation, according to Jennifer, a rich. So they clarify, they share the message. This is the hearing aspect, where they are sure they heard it very clearly. Because when I say, come here, it's different from, say, the message which says, go away or go there. That's different. My action will be different. When I say, come here, I expect a different thing than saying, go away. So I want to be clear that I listened properly, because I pay attention with my ears, with my whole senses. That's why at the beginning, in the definition, we said listening needs an effort. It requires deliberate effort. Then you withhold your judgment. When you're listening, you don't judge the speaker. And then you summarize what I've been saying. Then you should be able to share with others what you heard. And then you can reflect on those. And so when we come to this, slide number 21, we are just emphasizing a point on a good listener. A good listener is someone who focuses completely on what another person is saying and engages with their ideas in a thoughtful, comprehensive way. Good listening is not just about learning what a person is saying, but making a commitment, digesting the information they are presenting, and responding constructively. Whether through questions, suggestions, or simply providing your thoughts when it is necessary. A good listener is the one that actively engages with the material they are listening to. How a person listens to something is just as important as whether they are listening at all. So listening can take these two sides. Whether you are a bad listener or a good listener. If you are a manager in a workplace, if you are a bad listener, you will always frustrate your people because you will not understand their concerns, and therefore you close your mind. You cannot bring changes that are necessary. You cannot support your team properly. If you are a manager that is a bad listener, if you're a manager that is a good listener, you are someone who is focused completely on what the members of the team are saying. Therefore, be able to accommodate their views. Right. Okay. We'll now go to slide number 22, which is now a series of how to be a good listener. How can we make ourselves become a better listener? So, I know that you've always been listening throughout your life, but maybe there's room for you to improve. So you might be asking a question, how can I become a better listener? Or how can I make my team become a better listener? That's what we're talking about now on slide number 22. Giving the speaker your undivided attention. That's the first point. Yeah. So you give the speaker your undivided attention. That's the first one. So we are talking about, you see, giving the speaker undivided attention, distractions can make it difficult to focus on the things the speaker is telling you. So to become a good listener, limit as many distractions as possible and give the speaker your undivided attention. So this includes silencing your phone, turning off your computer, and avoiding the urge to multitask by checking emails and giving attention to other tasks. This can help you to focus on the speaker, ensuring that you are talking in everything that they are saying. You are checking in everything that they are saying. So this is the first element of becoming a good and better listener. Let's go to slide number 23 now. Slide number 23 now talks about providing appropriate and verbal communication. See, when you are speaking, your whole body, your whole human elements, they are part of the message that you're sending across. So when you're speaking, there will be some elements of non-verbal communication. So providing a speaker with the appropriate non-verbal cues can help them feel more at ease and comfortable as you listen to them. Non-verbal communication helps you to listen and provide your support without having to interrupt your speaker. This can include things like maintaining good eye contact, or sitting up straight and smiling when the speaker is speaking, where it is appropriate to smile and speak, or sometimes even nodding your head. So proper nonverbal communication cues while listening can also help the speaker feel more at ease and more likely to openly communicate their ideas. When you nod your head in a culture that you are giving an approval, or when you are giving them eye contact, or you're even clapping your hands. So those non-verbal cues can help them feel at ease. That's one way of becoming a better listener. And then slide number 24 talks about the pace, pacing the conversation. So being a good listener often includes opening a dialogue and allowing for a conversation to start between you and the speaker. Pacing the conversation by determining the goal of the speaker's message and evaluating their non-verbal cues to decide when it's appropriate to respond. Instead of rushing to fill silences, let the speaker finish their thoughts and acknowledge their message accordingly. This will also give you time to absorb their message and process what they're saying before it's time to respond. So we are simply talking about at what point do you intervene in their conversation, in their message. So give them time to speak and finish first, then you can come in. This is what is meant by pacing the conversation. Right. The next slide is slide number 25. And on slide number 25, we are saying you can become a better listener through asking meaningful questions. So once it is time to open up the dialogue, once it is time to ask questions, the questions you ask should be meaningful and establish your investment and so on. Not just any other question, but constructive questions that do not frustrate the speaker. Ask questions that can help both of you to reflect on what has been said. Questions might help the speaker to remember other things they wanted to say, or they can open up the lines dialogue. All right. Slide number 26 talks about recall previous information. So recording information that the speaker has already discussed, as well as summarizing the points they made in your responses, can help to become a more effective listener. Doing this not only shows the speaker you understand what they say, but it also ensures that they can clarify any misunderstandings and confirm their key points. And the slide number 27 talks about providing your input. Being a good listener encompasses both processing a speaker's message and providing valuable input from your point of view. So you are also participating actively in the discussion. And then these are the 6 points that could help you become a good listener. Because if you're not a good listener, then you'll be causing chaos in your team. You will not be a proper manager of your office, and even the customers. If you will not be able to listen to the customers who want to negotiate their terms of reference in the business that you are in with them. Right. We'll now move to slide number 28. So we'll be moving quickly now because of the time. So slide number 28 is focusing on the types of listening that can impact on life and work. So there's informal listening, discriminative listening, biased listening, sympathetic listening, comprehensive listening, empathetic and therapeutic listening, and critical listening. So each one of these have been explained, fully explained. For example, information listening, when you want to learn something, you use informational listening to understand and retain information. That's what that is written on slide number 29. And on slide number 30, we are talking about discriminative listening. Discriminative listening is the first listening type that you are born with. You discriminate. Everyone naturally, innately, has discriminative listening skills. You use this type of listening before you even know how to understand the words. So instead of relying on words, discriminative listening uses the tone of voice, verbal cues, and other changes in sound. Discriminative listening is how the babies understand the intention of a phrase before they can understand the words. If someone speaks to them in a happy and amused tone of voice, they will smile and they will laugh back. So they can also tell who is talking because they recognize different words. But discriminative listening isn't just for babies. If you are listening to a conversation happening in a foreign language, you will likely automatically use your discriminative skills. So you discriminate who is speaking positively about you and about your company, about your language. So you discriminate just like babies do. So that's on slide number 30. Now let's move on to slide number 31, which is talking about biased listening. Biased listening is also known as selective listening. So someone who uses biased listening will only listen for information that they specifically want to hear. This listening process can lead to distorted facts because the person listening is not fully in tune with what the speaker wishes to communicate. You see, a good example is the politicians about their political party, the political affiliation where they belong to. So that is part of selective listening, which is not good at all. Yeah. We now move on to slide number 32, which is talking about sympathetic listening. Sympathetic listening is driven by emotion. You saw, instead of focusing on the message spoken through the words, the listener focuses on the feelings and the emotions of the speaker. Is done to process these feelings and emotions. So this is very common, maybe during the funerals, during church services, because it's the emotions that appeal to the people, and they build a deeper relationship with someone in your life. So sympathizing, sympathetic listening. This is also good depending on the moment that someone might be passing through. Right. Well, slide number 33, talks about comprehensive listening. So this is different from discriminative listening because it requires language skills. This type of listening is usually developed in early childhood. People use comprehensive listening to understand what someone is saying using words. Several other types of listening build on comprehensive listening. Okay, so the words that we speak, the grammar, the composition, or what we say, what are the words that have been used. Several other types of listening, they build on this one. For example, you may need to use comprehensive listening to informal listening and learning something new. At work or in your life, you likely use a combination of comprehensive and native listening to understand the message people are trying to give you. For example, let's say your colleague briefs you on a project about the progress of the project. You need to use comprehensive listening to analyze the words and understand the message. You also use comprehensive listening when you receive feedback. All right, let's move on to empathetic listening and therapeutic listening. You see, empathetic listening is different from sympathetic listening. So empathetic listening is useful to help you see from other people's perspective. Using this type of listening, you can try to understand someone else's point of view. They are speaking. You can also try to imagine yourself in their shoes. So instead of just focusing on their message, but you can use empathetic listening to relate to someone else's experiences as they were your own. For example, somebody might have come late to work. They were delayed maybe by the traffic police. They stopped them and they faced some obstacles or difficulties. And then instead of just judging them that they come to work late, you want to listen to what happened, what caused their coming late. So you are empathizing and you're bringing therapeutic basically. And in that case, you will become a good manager because you are willing to listen authentically. Critical thinking is the next one on slide number 35. So critical thinking is actually common among you, the scholars. It allows you to analyze complex information. So you will need to use critical thinking. Using critical thinking while listening goes deeper than comprehensive listening. So yes, you have listened to everything, but critical thinking now, instead of taking the information at face value, you can use critical thinking to evaluate what's being said. Now you begin to regurgitate, to evaluate what is being said. You are trying to extract more meaning, deeper meaning in what has been said. So critical listening is crucial when problem solving at work. We all need to develop our mindset to critical thinking. Right. Now, then the next slides contain some strategies that would be helpful to understand someone, to enjoy someone, learn something, and to give help to someone. These are strategies according to Aaron Geringer, and he has listed a few of them that will also be useful for us as we develop the listening strategies. So on slide number 37, one of the strategies he has talked about is phrasing is an essential tool we often use to listen well. For example, we might use phrases like this. In other words, did you mean to say this? So how you felt about it was? Did you mean? I think what I'm hearing you say is. So you see, you are trying to get a clear message. So this is paraphrasing somebody's. When it comes to questions, and you are now getting into dialogue, you are allowed to use such kind of statement. Slide number 38, we already talked about listening with empathy. So we are not going to spend more time there because we already talked about it. And then being open as we listen. So be careful not to judge or put on your critical parent hat. Not make your mind up too quickly as you take in information. Give yourself some time to think, really fresh. So without rushing judgment, or without closing your mind, be open as you listen. So slide number 40 now, listen with awareness. There are two parts of this. First of all, you compare what is said to what you already know, your knowledge, history, your people, and how the world operates. But secondly, you also listen to observe for congruence. So please watch visual cues and determine if they watch the information you were hearing. For example, if someone came to you and says, do not steal. If my manager came to me and is telling me that do not steal, and yet I watch him, he's stealing something, then there's no congruence there. So first of all, I have to listen, watch. But secondly, I have to listen and observe for congruence. So listening with awareness and maintaining good eye contact, lean in slightly while not approaching someone's face, reinforcing by paraphrasing and giving feedback at the right time, asking clarifying questions, trying to eliminate distractions, and being in the moment. These are some of the effective listening strategies and skills. So, good eye contact, we already talked about this. So, we will skip on to number 23 now. We'll finish with the 6 facets of effective listening: paying attention, monitoring verbal cues, paraphrasing, making no assumptions, encouraging talk, and visualizing. So they have been explained in the other slides already talked about. Now, from slide number 44 to the finishing line, there are common barriers to effective listening. So we talk about physical barriers on slide number 44. We also talk about cultural barriers on slide number 46, also talk about emotional and psychological barriers on slide number 47, and also physiological barriers. Physiological barriers. This is to do with the when we are not feeling our best, so it's hard to be fully present. The person is suffering from an injury or an illness or a body stress. Those are anatomical and physiological barrier according to slide number 49. But on slide number 50, we are talking about language barriers. For example, if I was walking in the streets of Singapore or Thailand or Philippines, I need maybe to know a little bit of English for me to communicate with the people there. But otherwise, if I don't know the local language spoken in those countries, then that one is already a barrier to effective listening. And therefore, if I want to talk to someone, I have to choose a language that they are able to listen. So slide 51 talks about making assumptions. When we make assumptions about the speaker's intent or meaning before they have finished their statement, we are not practicing effective listening. This is what we earlier on talked about. And then slide number 52, when we are giving too much information, we also create a barrier to effective listening. Have you ever felt so overwhelmed by something new and complex that you stopped being able to intake information? So whenever we are speaking to people, we need to prepare adequate message that they'll be able to listen to. And also the tone of voice, we need to be polite with our tone. We don't speak as if we are yelling on people. We don't speak as if we are angry with people, because not everyone will react in the same way to different tones. So we need to be polite and respect the audience. And slide number 54 talks about the speed of the speech. The speed also matters. When you are too fast, when you're talking too fast, it can be challenging for listeners to keep up with the conversation. But at the same time, when you're also too slow, then you end up losing your audience because they'll be easily tired. There's also an aspect of time pressure as another barrier. When you run into someone you know and ask them how you've been, what do they say? They almost say, I am busy, I am busy. So everybody is busy with time. They have no time to listen to you. So create time to listen to the managers at your workplace, create time to listen to your subordinates at the workplace, create time to listen to God through your church, create time to listen to your friend, create time to listen to your politician. Don't say, I am busy always. So time pressure can be another barrier. We are about to finish. So on slide number 56, we are talking about interruption. When something has interrupted, when the speaker has been interrupted, that can also be considered as a barrier. And so effective listening can be overcome when we remove the barriers on. As according to slide number 57, we are saying improving the listening skills of your team could be as simple as making minor changes to your workspace, or it could require making changes to your communication style in the office. So if you find that communication problems in your workplace seem to be stemming from a lack of listening skills among your workers, you will want to take a different approach and motivate your team to be willing to listen. So you become a very good manager in your communication to the team. As a manager, you are supposed to listen to your subordinates, to your members of the team, but also you are supposed to inculcate the skills of good listening. And therefore, I would like to say thank you very much for being the audience today in this presentation, and I wish you all the best. Thank you. Over to you, Madam Novita. Thank you, Madam Novita.
Thank you so much for your presentation, Dr. Yobbe. And for our participant, if you have any question for the speaker, please add them to the chat or you can raise your hand. Yeah, we have three questions here from participant in the Zoom chat. Yeah, for first question from Mr. Abdul, when it comes effective managerial communication, how important is active listening in leadership? Could you provide example of situation where poor listening skill by manager have led to misunderstanding or or conflict within a team, and how can manager develop better listening habit to avoid such issue? Thank you.
Yeah, providing an example of a poor listening manager. A good example could be where maybe think about the time management at a workplace. Uh, when everybody is coming to the workplace very late, sometimes it might be caused by a common problem on the streets. Maybe they are using a street or a route which is very busy, which has a very busy traffic, and maybe they also start from their home late, a little bit late, coming to work. So the manager who is a poor listener will start shouting at his employees, at his subordinates, and without actually getting into dialogue with the people. So you end up that the manager who is a good listener will invite his subordinates and ask them, what is it that caused you to come late? So you discover that maybe instead of starting off for work, they maybe 30 minutes earlier, they start off a little late. And that causes them to come late at the workplace. So a poor manager would jump on to judgment and criticize the employees getting into conflict with everyone and yelling at everyone and being angry with everyone instead of getting into dialogue and listening and understanding without necessarily compromising on time management, but trying to find a solution together with the people and improving the situation because everything is manageable. But it requires good communication skills, good listening skills. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And then the second question, in management, we often talk about communication as giving instruction or sharing idea, but how do listening factor into building trust and relationship with employee? Are there specific listening technique that manager can use to improve team dynamic and ensure a more collaborative work environment? Thank you.
Yeah, you see, communication skills and the listening skills, they go hand in hand. And these are the skills that team managers need to be able to handle properly. the subordinates. And so on the bottom line, we are talking about communicating a message in a manner that is clear, with good substance, and in a manner that is also respecting the subordinates and the employees, without judging them, but also communicating timely at the right time. That is what is very important. But on the other hand, listening skills are also important because they allow you to open your ears to hear what your subordinates have to say. And sometimes you find that what subordinates have to say to you will be very useful and helpful to will be very helpful to you and for the running of your organization. So communication skills, listening skills, they all add up together to help you communicate properly in a manner that respects the human resource in your workplace, both the seniors as well as the juniors. But at the same time, the listening skills also allow you to be clear on attitude and the feelings and the perceptions of other people who are part of the members of the team in your workplace. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. And then the last question from Paulina. In a fast business environment, managers are often under pressure to make quick decisions. How can they balance the need for efficiency with the importance of truly listening to their team member? Are there any tools or strategy that manager can adopt to ensure they're effectively listening even even when time is limited? Thank you.
Yes, the pressure of work versus time to listen. That's why we're saying we are all busy. We are all busy. And but within the busy schedule, you can create a time. Maybe one of the strategies is to set apart uh, maybe 1 day per week. If you have a very busy schedule, you can set apart maybe 1 day per week. For example, I have a friend who is a pastor. He's very busy with his church. But then what he has done is he has set apart Thursday, the whole day. Thursday, he says, on Thursday, I'm going to be in my office to attend to people who want to see me. So he has dedicated specific time for to attend to people. In that way, we feel that this person is willing to listen to his team. So you can do the same. Maybe you might not dedicate the whole day, but you could say, for example, maybe 1 day or 2 days a week, maybe you set apart a few hours in the afternoon to attend to some of the things that might be. But also remember that as a leader, there are several leadership styles. There's the democratic leadership style, laissez-faire leadership style, and then the autocratic. So there will be moments when you simply need to give instructions. In this case, depending on the situation, when you would look at the situation that you just need to give instructions without necessarily listening to waiting to listen to someone. But predominantly, we are saying that if you're also a good listener, you will also be able to know when you need to be autocratic, when you need to be democratic, and get into dialogue when you need to be laissez-faire, which might not be the case. So yes, there's always time pressure. In terms of the tools, there are various tools for listening on the online tools. I think you can Google around, you find an enormous number of tools that are very helpful. But it begins with your attitude. You need to adjust your attitude that it's never too late to give attention to your colleagues. You can spare 5 minutes or 10 minutes or even 1 hour. Listen to someone and then get back to your busy schedule. So that's what we're trying to promote. A good manager should be a good listener. He will be able to listen to his superiors, but also to his subordinates and to the line manager. Thank you, Madam Novita.
Yeah, thank you so much for Dr. Yobbe. Yeah, before I close this event, for all participants, please open your camera. I will take a picture on the count of three. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Okay, another one. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your cooperation. Finally, we come to the end of visiting lecture today. We would like to thank you for Dr. Yobbe Lungu for the wonderful information and sharing your knowledge. We hope this information will be beneficial for all participants. At least we hope to have more collaboration in the future with the MST John the Baptist University. The visiting lecture for today and here. We hope to see you soon. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thank you.